hago así, les veo que si aparecen por el fondo, les veo, te aparecen por aquí. ¿Vale?
Muy buenas tardes a todos, buenas tardes Cristian, qué ganas teníamos de llegar a Valencia. Es verdad que ahora que estoy aquí, igual no se estaba tan mal desde arriba en la sala de prensa, porque efectivamente, como bien comentabas, tenemos 32, 33 grados en el ambiente, estamos en el momento culmen del calor hoy aquí, y tenemos 28% de humedad, que eso es quizá lo que más se nota en el ambiente. Hace demasiado calor, muchísimo bochorno, y desde luego en la pista esto se nota. Hemos estado hablando esta mañana con algunos de los pilotos, tanto de la Clio como de la Fórmula 4 y de la Copa Saxo, y nos decían precisamente eso, que el horario de mañana quizá venga un poco mejor, aunque esta mañana también hace muchísimo calor, pero el problema es esta hora tope del día en la que hace tantísimo calor, tanta humedad, el asfalto al final está muy sucio, y decían que aproximadamente en los Fórmula 4 había unos 2 segundos de diferencia por vuelta entre tener el asfalto en estas condiciones y el que puedan tener, por ejemplo, mañana por la mañana. Así que veremos cómo se da el fin de semana, porque desde luego va a hacer mucho, pero que mucho calor.
Well, hello, and welcome once again as we are live here in the Clio Cup Series on the east coast of Spain. In Chester, about 20 minutes down the road from the city of Valencia. It's a gorgeous day here, 33 degrees ambient temperature, which of course will cause its fair share of issues. I am sure for the drivers out there, honestly, trust me, it is very, very toasty indeed. You can tell by my voice, I am not one Mr. Chaz Draycourt, nor am I Mr. David Addison either. My name is Lewis McGlade, and I will be guiding you through the weekend's festivities here at the Circuit Ricardo Tormo, here for round number 3 in the Clio Cup Series Spain. Now, qualifying has already been completed. We prepare ourselves for another 25-minute race, plus 1 lap, of course, which should equate to roughly 16 laps around here. It should be a fascinating race. I was chatting to a couple of drivers earlier about the conditions and stuff, and how it's so difficult following in slipstream. It's not so much that there's any dirty air or anything being kicked off of the cars ahead that will cause any worries. Of course, you have the visual impeding of the car directly ahead, fair enough, but that doesn't really cause the large problem. It's more the fact that being sat behind a car on a day like this is just incredibly hard. Qualifying, by the way, that took place earlier on today was an incredibly tight session, absolutely incredible at the top. Alex Royo will start from pole position after doing a 52.717, just 5 thousandths of a second clear of Alex Louth. Incredible the fact that they were that close. Abea, who is currently on our screen here as they'll head round to start on the grid, only a tenth and a half, or about a tenth and a quarter off of the pole time, and ends up starting from 3rd position. And of course, coming into this, by the way, just to keep you updated on what's been happening in the championship as well, Alex Royo, of course, is leading the championship after the 2 victories of him in the Clio Cup Series Spain in the Spanish category back in Jarama. Took both victories there. However, it was both victories from Nico Abea the previous round at Manicor. We've only completed the 2 rounds previous, so it's 4 races total that's been done. Of course, 2 two of those coming on the 23rd and 24th of April. That was at Jarama, and then the 13th and 15th of May at Manicourt. Those were obviously in conjunction with the larger contingent of the Clio Cup Series, so Clio Cup Europe, etc. This is just Clio Cup Spain. It is just the Spanish category. That's why there is a reduced grid somewhat for this round, as opposed to what we've seen before. It will be 12 cars. There was a failure to get a time onto the board from a couple of drivers. However, we did see that Alejandro Idibas, who was supposed to be here this weekend, was on the original entry list and stuff, is not racing. So there is just the single Chefo Sports driver, and that is Nico Abella, that's going to be starting from third. And to be honest, my favourite livery on the grid. I really do like that that blue and pink combination. Certainly works quite nice on the grid. This is Alex Lauf then, who will start from second position on the grid, the highest placed of the Catato Motorsports cars, who struggled a little bit in qualifying. Hugo Hernandez will start down in sixth position, but it was the two of the shimps that are going to be starting way back. Adrian and Alejandro, it's Adrian ahead of Alejandro down the grid. They didn't put a time in qualifying. I wasn't 100% sure as to why, but they had all of their times deleted in the session, I think courtesy of track limit excursions. There is Nico Abella, the driver who won both races in the previous round of the championship at Manicourt. Of course, that was one in class, not one overall. The races have been won by Girardo in Jarama, both the races, and then Puget in Manicourt. There is Jordi Palomeras Ventos, who I was actually having a chat with earlier. Very cool character, by the way. Very kind. He was the one that was giving me the knowledge about the cars. You will see them when they're in the slipstream on the start-finish straight. You'll see them pull out of the slipstream, not to fill the mirrors, not to try and dive down the inside, but it's more so to break the slipstream from their own, to get some cool air on the front of the car, because they'll have warning lights set off on the run down to turn one, just courtesy of how hot it is when you're sat behind other cars. There was Sequendez, who's going to be starting from fifth position, of course, and then behind him will be Hugo Hernandez in the other Catato Motorsports car that's starting up the order inside the top 10. Unfortunately for the other two, it's going to be a bit of a long day. There is Hernandez in the number 72, trying to pick apart the various Catato Motorsports cars. You can do so. It's yellow. They have like their own little colours on there. You could sort of see that it was green for Hernandez. I can't remember off the top of my head what Lauf was. I'm pretty sure it was red. And then it's orange for Alejandro, and then yellow for Adrian, if memory serves. There is Fabien Julia, the lone LR Performance car that will start from 7th place. Struggled a little bit in qualifying. It seemed like with the rear end going down into turn one, it is ever so slightly downhill. It's not the wind that's pushing them around. It's not a particularly windy day out here in Valencia. It's a hot day. It's a very hot day, but it's not a windy one. It's only wind speeds are around about between 2, 4, that kind of region, kilometres an hour. It's not really particularly fast. There is Lydia Semper, who did a great job in qualifying. Actually, was kind of wrestling the car around, but they went out naturally, as you do, because it's qualifying. Why wouldn't you go out in a massive group rather than getting some clean air and driving by yourself? They went out in quite a large group, with the exception of a couple, including Royo, was kind of just by himself through most of the session. But the likes of Hernandez, Palomeras, Abella, they were all kind of in one big group. And in fact, both the shimps, Emre Can, they were all kind of in one big sort of contingent and kept up with them very nicely indeed. Joaquin Rodrigo will start from 9th position, of course, in the Team VRT. They've got obviously quite a few Team VRTs. That will be the 4th one that we've got on the grid of 5. Then we've got Emre Can Unal, who will be starting directly behind. This car had problems in qualifying. That's the only way I can really put it. I'm pretty sure it was to do with overheating. Pulled it back into pit lane. Mechanics and stuff had a look through the session, and basically, my point being from that, missed out on an awfully large part of the session, just courtesy of not being able to stay out on circuit. It wasn't a long qualifying session earlier on in the day, so when you miss out on so much of that session, well, you might as well kiss a good grid position goodbye. And for the Turkish driver, that is not how he wanted that session to go. All doors open here on Adrian Schimpf's car. Of course, the highest of the Schimpf, unfortunately, in the penultimate spot on the grid. Although I will say, in qualifying, I know they didn't have times on the board between Adrian and Alejandro, the two that missed out on actually setting times. They were out for the entirety of the session, and from my eye, I did watch the qualifying session from up in the grandstand here. From my eye, it was the 162 rather, this one, of Alejandro Schimpf that was the faster of the two. Kind of asked the questions as to what's possible from these two from the rear of the grid. Certainly to move up inside the sort of the top six, the top half of the grid is very much on the cards, and would be a very respectable race indeed. However, it will be a long afternoon. Overtaking around here is not particularly easy. It's, despite it being quite a long run on the start-finish straight, it's 870 metres going down to turn 1, but it is quite a fast turn 1. Here's your starting grid, so you can see Alex Royo and Alex Louth starting from the front row of the grid. Nico Abella and Jordi Palmares starting on the second row of the grid, with Javier Sequindez and Hugo Hernandez starting from 5th and 6th position. And see on this, you can really see how close those top two were, just 0.005 of a second separating them. Fabien Julia, and then Lydia Semper, with Joaquin Rodrigo, Emre Can Unal, and then Adrian Schimpf, and then Alejandro Schimpf in row 6. Obviously no times set from those two at the back, and Emre Can's time, I will say, is provisional. I would not say that is representing any real pace from in that session. Certainly looked fast at the start of the session, but wasn't able to really muster a good lap time. Courtesy of the car issues. Hopefully they've rectified them, because these aren't short races. They're 25 minutes plus 1 lap. That says the estimation will put them at 16 laps in the race. It's about 64 kilometres around. It would have been a 4-kilometre circuit. It's not going to be easy for them to work their way around all of that, just courtesy of the heat. It's kind of one way you'll have to strategize amongst yourselves, kind of get out of the slipstream all of the time. Look after your tyres. You can overcook them quite a bit. I know these Michelin tyres are very good about doing the race distance. Very good at keeping themselves well under control. However, and it's not it's a touring car. It's not exactly the highest tyre wearing cars. But still, it is something which you do have to think about. It's not so much the wear, it's the heat which is built. It is 47 degrees on the track surface as we'll begin our formation lap and head around, so we can really get ourselves a vibe as to the circuit we are dealing with here. As we race our way around, it'll be that 900-ish metre run down towards the first corner. And then it's about 300 metres from then up towards Dewan. After that, we go through turn 3 and then turn 4 at Nico Terrell, and then turn 5. It's this kind of section here. Really, the run down to turn 1 is a great overtaking opportunity, don't get me wrong, but with it being 900 metres into quite an average speed corner, it's more the run into Dewan, into this corner here, to turn 2, and then through this part here, where you're really likely to make the overtake stick into a double right-hander here at Nico Terrell, and then into turn 5 before we start rising up the hill once again to the Angel Neto corner. Great corner to overtake at, really is. I mean, we see it all the time when bikes and such race around here. Of course, you know, the circuit used in an awful lot of disciplines. This is a great overtaking opportunity to kind of lob one down the inside quite late. We've got a bit of a kink here at turn 7. It's not really much of a corner by itself, but it's more so the lining yourself up for the braking zone coming down into the Martinez sort of hairpin, turn 8. It's a really long hairpin. To classify it as a hairpin, it is a hairpin, but it's more of just a long left-hander. Comes right back on itself. Not a great corner for overtaking. You can make it stick in there, and we will see a plenty if you try, but it's more so that you lose a lot of time from doing so into there. You go through the fast 9 and 10 and then into 11, this one, before we have this short shoot completely straight on the run to turn 12, the champion's corner, so to speak, and then uphill. It goes slightly up here and then back downhill through turn 13, and from this point on you're turning left for about half a kilometre. It's 490 metres is the entire length of this stretch all the way around until just before turn 14, what you could really classify as turn 13, and then turn 14 itself. That one takes you straight out onto the start-finish straight. So it's about let's say half a kilometre which you are turning left and left and left, and the front left of your car is not having any let up at all. It is a breathless corner. It's a fantastic corner, but it is incredibly difficult, and yeah, it's kind of one of those ones which will get harder as the race goes on. It's not one that gets easier. Just because the car's getting lighter and stuff, you're burning off some of that fuel, it gets harder and harder and harder. It's a heavy corner, you're trying to throw it in, your arms are starting to ache, you're being thrown over to one side of the car, and these aren't the fastest cars in the world, but they are fast enough to give you a little bit of a run for your money inside the cockpit, especially on a very hot day like this, when it can reach upwards of about 60 degrees inside the cockpit of the car. Weather update at the top of your screen, it's 32 degrees. It's dropped down a whopping 1 degree over the build-up to this race, but it is plenty hot enough for some thrilling racing, which we are going to see here, as once again the Clio Cup Series is about to begin for Clio Cup Spain, as the ships line up on the final row of the grid. You can see Alejandro there just lining up on the left-hand side of the shot in the 162. It will pass over to the control of Alex Royo and Louth, starting from the front row of the grid as the red lights are on and underway. Not a good start though from Louth. Great start from the 23 of Palomares, who's going to get to the outside as they go 3 wide. Great start from Royo from the front of the grid as we gun that 200-metre run down towards turn 1. Great start from Palomares, who's up into second position, side by side in the background. That is Louth who's dropping backwards. It was Abea who's going around the outside, straight off the racetrack as he's just trying to get back. That's Sequendez who's just trying to get back on. Louth will just get pushed out just an ever so slight touch there as they run through. Abea's coming through as well. He's got a back up into third position, and then they're just going to come through this sort of like the hairpin section. Little bit tight there, but it just was a terrible start from Louth, who started from second on the grid, who's dropped back into fourth. Sequendez, who went a little bit wide, has come back onto the race circuit and is now going quite defensive, coming down from Hernandez, just as we run down up towards the Angel Neto turn 6, and then straight line it through 7 and then into 8. You can see the darting, ducking and weaving in the background. Alejandro Schimpf has got up into 8th position. Absolutely superb start from Alejandro Schimpf. Already working up from the 12th position on the grid. Here's our race leader Royo then, who's looking in his mirrors, searching for another victory in Clio Cup Spain. Palomares, who's had that great start, started from 4th position up into 2nd, has already climbed up the rankings. You can see all the side-by-side in the background. Oh my goodness, is that Fabian Julia, who's straight down the inside. Lovely little move. Oh, that's going to go straight on though for Hernandez. He's going to rejoin the race circuit with some very dirty tyres, I have no doubt. But either way, decent move there from Fabian Julia. Of course, the lone LR performance car, as it's just side by side all the way down here. That was, I think, that's Fabian Julia actually going backwards. Never mind. I think Hernandez has been able to get back through, as has I think even Alejandro Schimpf and Adrian Schimpf. And you can absolutely see that is the case. So now Alejandro Schimpf is going to lead that sort of gaggle. We've got 2 groups forming here. You've got Sequendez, you've got Alejandro Schimpf, then you've got Hernandez, Adrian Schimpf, then Fabian Julia, all sort of in this battle for 5th position. Pick them all out. They're all white cars to make things very difficult for us indeed. Oh, that was a big dive. That was Schimpf, that was Adrian Schimpf, straight down the inside of Hugo Hernandez for 7th position. position. Big send indeed, as we were also seeing in the background from, I think, Fabien Julia. So they're all going, darting, ducking and weaving every single which way they can. And there is Alejandro Sanchez in 6th position. The calmness of the top 4 is what's allowing them to pull away, realistically, from this group. They've got 3 seconds on this group already, but it wouldn't be a Clio Cup Series race without just feisty action left, right and centre, as the first lap has obviously been completed. Sequindeth going to defend just a touch in that number 79, deeply overrun at the Martinez hairpin, pulls it back over to the left hand side, really a double apex corner there as you can sort of straight line your exits. But either way, great start from Alejandro. So I was going to say that for these Shimps there could well be some top 5s up for grabs. That was a little bit too deep though from Alejandro Schimpf, and he's actually moved Sequindeth off of the corner there, going through turn 11. So I don't know how race control will feel about that. Obviously they all hold on to their positions. This is just classic Clio Cup racing. It's Schimpf 1, Schimpf 2, Alejandro with Adrian behind, and Hernandez as here we go. Here's the move straight around the outside. You can't make that one stick, surely not. Absolutely superb from Alejandro Schimpf in that 162. Just all the way around the 500-metre run down to the final corner at Campos. Absolutely stunning. Now has 4.5 to 5 seconds to catch the top 4. But to be fair, I think most of the work has been done from that. A look down the inside, that will be Fabien Julia, who was looking very quick in qualifying, I will say, but unfortunately couldn't make the lap complete. But either way, still in 10th spot, and now looking, however, directly ahead of him, it's Emre Can, now who seems to have those issues sorted. Well, one Schimpf has made a bold move, the other Schimpf is certainly doing so, and that one is Adrian, straight down the inside, contact as well with Hugo Hernandez, and there's a little bit of contact, sorry, that was Sequindeth, just a little bit of contact leaving the corner, just a little bit of a rub, and they all managed to get out of it. Not too big of a move, but still just a bold little attempt. Emre Can now has got up into 8th position. That's sort of just behind us. You can see going defensive there, running up. Plenty of fans out, by the way, watching today, more so than even I would have expected. And I think we're going to see quite a few more tomorrow as the day is going to get even hotter. That is Fabien Julia, who's looking to the inside of Hernandez, going into turn 7, and that braking zone of turn 8 at Martinez, which, of course, Alejandro Schimpf has managed to navigate comfortably, cleanly, and in clean air himself. Adrian Schimpf not being afforded the same luxury. Sequindeth and then Emre Can directly behind, a tight little tussle as they all try and get past Sequindeth one by one, who seems to be struggling a little bit in the early stages, maybe playing the long game when it comes to the tyres and playing out the heat, but still, this is the battle for first. So Royo is still leading. Alex Royo still continues to lead here as we complete our 3rd lap of action, so expected to be 13 more, so they know how to play the long game in this, don't you worry. Palomeras in 2nd position, Abea behind, and it's Lauf who is on the attack after starting from the front row of the grid, after dropping back from the front row of the grid into that slipstream. But again, this was exactly what Jordi Palomeras was telling me a little bit earlier on in the day, was that they aren't necessarily getting out of the slipstream courtesy of looking for moves, of being bold. They're getting out of the slipstream because on a day like this, you're picking up a lot of heat from that car ahead. You know, it's 33 degrees out there at the moment. Then you get the heat from the car ahead. They were saying that the cockpits and stuff are getting up to around 60 degrees Celsius in there. It is incredibly hot. It's so testing to drive in this, and you're getting out to cool your car a little bit. You've got warning lights going off left, right, and centre. It's exactly what you do not need when you're trying to focus on winning a race here in the Clio Cup Series Spain. Palomeras, though, defending just a touch from Abea, who obviously the race winner at Manicourt a few weeks ago, but no way for Abea to pass right now. These are tricky cars to pass in. The run around the back of the circuit is about 470 metres as you get into the braking zone at the Martinez hairpin, and once you've gone through there isn't really any really big overtaking opportunities unless you're feeling very bold later on in the race. Of course, we did see Alejandro Schimpf make a brilliant move around the outside of turn 13, the penultimate corner, which is just after this, going through the Champions Curve and then up the hill. I think that's fine for 6th, for 7th, for 8th, for that kind of region if there's been a mistake made. However, in a race like this, up the top end, it just doesn't work. You can see all the differing lines taking a much more aggressive line from Abea. Much more aggressive line, though, from Louth. There's contact between the two. Oh, my goodness. Abea has been sent off the circuit. Louth in way too hot there, making contact, getting himself up into 3rd position now. Whether he'll return that position, I don't know. There is Palmeiras getting out of the slipstream to go and get some of that nice, cool, fresh air over there. As one of the pit boards just absolutely pings one of the numbers absolutely straight off, just courtesy of how much air these cars are pushing out of the way. It's just ripped one of those numbers straight off the pit board. Well, this is going to get a little bit feisty, isn't it? Abea's not going to be happy that Louth's moved him out of the way, and now we'll think, okay, I've seen what you can do. I've seen what you can do. We can both play at that game, Sonny Jim. Let's see what we can have fun with here in this podium battle in Valencia on this beautiful summer's day. It's allowed Royo to pull out now roughly 0.6 of a second over Palmeiras, who, don't get me wrong, I know that it's not so much that Palmeiras has always been second in this race, but it's more so that the gap building behind, it kind of relieves a bit of the pressure off of Palmeiras. He can relax a little bit. Hopefully all of the number boards have been collected, all of the numbers that have been strewn across the racetrack on the entry to turn 1, because they do use quite a lot of that race circuit on the right hand side. There is Rejoignez in 7th position, 8th place at the moment, Fabian Julia, then Emre Can Unal, and then Hugo Hernandez in 9th and 10th. Joaquin Rodrigo and Lydia Samper starting in 11th and 12th at the moment. A bit of a shame for Lydia Samper, just didn't quite get into the rhythm at the start of the race. Obviously someone who I was being told about this earlier on in the day, is essentially deaf, has implants and stuff in the helmet and stuff to at least assist with some form of listening, but still is essentially deaf, so he's kind of struggling with getting racing. He's only really been racing for the last 2 years, because he did a load of karting and then unfortunately had to back out of it due to misdiagnosis and such. I won't go into that too much, but either way, there is a big lock-up. Now I'm going to assume that is the battle between Emre Can Unal and then Hugo Hernandez. Certainly is, as that is Emre Can ahead. That is 9th position at the moment. The two had switched a little bit earlier in the lap, and now they switch once again. That was a big lock-up though for Emre Can Unal, and I kind of fear for the front left. It's so easy to lock up though. You've gone through the extremely long penultimate corner of the track, and then you're braking going downhill. You're going to struggle on the tyres for quite a bit, and this is exactly what we're seeing here. It's not just one corner, it's 2 corners as well. Great move there from Hugo Hernandez, obviously courtesy of the mistake, the overrun from Emre Can. Little tap of the brakes as well from Hugo Hernandez. There's more just the light showing to clear some of the air out of the system as well. And Hugo Hernandez then up into 9th position. At the moment, the fastest lap of the race actually goes to Adrian Schimpf, who's in 6th position. You can tell by the purple marker next to his name in that 6th spot. When it comes to how much they're catching the cars ahead, though, I don't think it is by much, unfortunately. But we can see there the instant between cars 93 and 47. I am not shocked by that at all. Of course, Louth and Abea, that'll be for the contact down to the final corner. Louth is under investigation for moving Abea out of the way, and so potentially might see some issues dealt from the race steward. You kind of asked the question, maybe if Louth had allowed Abea to come back through, then there would have been something sorted in that, but either way, it is what it is. Louth in 3rd spot now, looking straight down the inside of Palmeiras, looking, committing, little bit of contact there. Oh, there's a little bit of a touch. Palmeiras is going wide. This is the 2nd time that Louth made contact into the final corner, as they'll go double too wide on the start-finish straight, 900 metres down towards turn 1. Louth defending just from Abea, trying to pull it over, a little bit of rubbing. Which way are they going? It is currently Louth who's up into 2nd position. Abea is trying to get himself up into 3rd. They're all returning to the positions that they started this race from, and that was always going to happen. Abea, obviously pretty irritated by what happened earlier on in the race. He moves Louth out of the way, and Palmeiras Palameras looking straight down the inside with 3 wide up towards Dewan. Super stuff. This is proper racing. Down the inside, Palameras goes. Abea just down into third. Now he's got to worry about Louth, who's just going to be just as irritated at him. So Abea wants to desperately get past Palameras on the up and under. Louth is trying to make it stick to get himself back onto the podium. All of this for second, third and fourth, as Royo is able to rocket away into the distance as we hit the halfway point in this race. They'll need to calm it down if they want to reach the end of this one, because if they keep battling like this, and I am all for it, by the way, Alejandro and Adrian Schimpf are really going to close in. They are not very far behind, about 3.5 seconds back to Alejandro Schimpf, about an extra second and a bit back to Adrian Schimpf, and they are rocketing their way up to the podium after starting, you can see there, after starting at the back of the grid. +7 positions for Alejandro, +5 positions for Adrian. There's a look down the inside though, big move from Louth. He sends it, he cleans it, he's done it, he's back up into third, and this time the move is made between the 47 and the 93 with no contact whatsoever. Good effort. Palameras up now into second once again, but look at the differing lines coming through the penultimate corner here. These two much tighter than Palameras. Palameras is not putting as much load on the front right tyre. There is contact once again, throwing it straight over the curb. The door banging there. Abea once again straight down the inside of Louth, and now they made contact into turn one. They have no mirrors on the side. You can see them. They are literally about to fly off at any moment as we go side by side in the 900-metre run down towards the first corner once again at Aspar. The move should be made from Abea, but it's all about the up and under going down the inside into Dewan that potentially might favour Louth this time by. But I think even he might back out of it. Oh, he was looking, and he commits finally, but he's going to overrun surely, and he's been spun out. He overran the corner, and Abea said, "Okay, mate, if you're going to do that, see ya." You kind of saw the sort of the 3 little looks there from Louth. He was looking, he didn't want it. He looked, he didn't want it. He looked again, and boom, we'll see it straight away. And there we go, straight down the inside. He was way too hot into the corner, and Abea went, "See you, good sir." I'll talk to you at the end of the race. I'm sure there might be a little bit of action done on that from race control, or even potentially between the drivers post-race. Not that we obviously condone that kind of behaviour, but either way, I'm sure Louth will be pretty miffed by everything that's gone on there. It's separated that battle quite a lot. So at the moment, the race with 10.5 minutes plus 1 lap to go is Royo, then Palameras, then Abea, then Schimpf, Alejandro, ahead of Adrian Schimpf, and then is Alex Louth, who started from the front row of the grid, had a bad start, worked his way sort of up, then back down, then back up, then back down, and now a bit further back down after the spin, as he's down in 6th position. Sequindeth in 7th with Fabian Julia in 8th place, and the two of those are separated by absolutely nothing, and that is the battle that we're seeing just here. Fabian Julia looking straight down the inside of Sequindeth, not quite made the move stick yet, up into turn 12. There is the move sent, and there is the move done, and the Frenchman up now into 7th position. Great little move there from Fabian Julia, but you kind of felt that one was coming. I don't think Sequindeth will wait to do that. Oh, here comes the big lock-up, though. That was straight down the inside. Not sure who that was. That was Fabian Julia. It was more so in defence, because he'd already got past Sequindeth, but either way, 7th position is now his. Hernandez and Emre Can, who now also battling out in the background, but Fabian Julia is able to hang on to 7th, then Sequindeth, then Hernandez, then Emre Can, who separate a little bit as they cross the line. Then Lydia Semper, who's got herself ahead of Joaquin Rodrigo in the 11th and 12th positions. There's your race leader, Alex Royo, leading at the moment. The last lap from Royo was a 54.310. Warnings for car 3, 23, 79, 96, 113 and 162, all for track limits. Well, the 3, the 23, the 162, the 113, they're all those that are high up the order, but it's pretty much everyone on the grid. The 79, obviously, I did say 79, but never mind. That one is Sequindeth. Then the 96, that one belongs to Emre Can Ünal. The 113 and the 162 is, of course, Alejandro and Adrian Schimpf, all being warned for track limit excursions. That'll be down at turn 1. I would assume it's where the largest amount of track limits, and the final corner, of course, where the largest amount. You can get a little bit there into the Martinez hairpin turn 8, but you know, for the most part, it's quite hard to exceed. I don't think they ping you for track limit violations here, coming up towards the Champions corner and going through turn 13, because as much as you can run quite wide at 12, you don't really gain anything from doing so, because as soon as you do run wide, you can kind of see there you're immediately met by a lovely little bit of escape road and then a gravel trap. So there's no real advantage from doing this. This is 7th position, Fabian Gillier in the all-white LR Performance car, and then behind him in the 79, that is Sequindeth in the Team VRT number 79. So these two battling out for 7th place at the moment. Hugo Hernandez and Emre Can Ünal also will be closing in. They're only 1.6 seconds back. Abea, by the way, has closed right up to the battle for 2nd position. We've got 7 minutes and 20 seconds left to go. Should put us with roughly 5 more laps in this race. Potentially, I think it might be 6 if I can do my. Never trust a commentator's maths, but still, could well be 6. But I will say, that battle for 2nd, Jordi Palomeiras Ventos has a bit of trouble on his hands right now, because not only is it him 2nd, not only does he have the issues of Abea, as we can see here, this is 2nd place. Abea has closed right in. Cool, that's one problem. Alejandro Schimpf is there. Adrian Schimpf is there. I don't think Lauv's quite had the pace after the spin. He's done a 54.0 on the previous lap, so he's actually faster than this group, but not really fast enough to catch right now. Was a 2nd faster than Jordi Palomeiras, who's currently on screen right now in that black and yellow car. So is closing in on the podium. I don't blame you for having an umbrella to try and block out some of the sun. You could use sun cream, but let's be honest, it's much cooler to have an umbrella. It stops you from the rain as well. We're definitely not getting any of that this weekend. It is roasting hot. The temperature has dropped down, by the way. It's now 31 degrees Celsius. A little bit wide there from Palomeiras in 2nd position. So just feeling the pressure a little bit, and again taking that wide run around the penultimate corner. Bit of a lock up on the front left, and you can see how much more aggressive Abea is right over that curb on the inside of the penultimate corner. 900 metres once again. There is the slipstream being broken from the 162. That is Alejandro Schimpf just trying to once again get some cool air into his Renault Clio. It is critical to keep the car in working order. Not so much that it's going to shut down, but more so that you're keeping it in fine working order when it comes to its pace. Defensive move from Palomeiras. Then it's the outside line from Abea. Not able to make that one stick. You know that if Palomeiras hadn't covered that one off, there would have been a move from Abea straight down the inside there. So kind of makes sense that he would cover it off. It's not so much it's defending clean air, which is a terrible tactic, but it's more so, you know, again, defending from the car ahead, but from the car behind, but being proactive about it, not reacting to what they're doing something yourself and saying, look, I'm going here, you go wherever you want to go. And that is perfect driving tactics from Jordi Palomeiras Ventos. And it's, I mean, who am I saying? These guys know exactly what they are doing in a racing situation. Out through 7, in through 8. Said before, you can't really make too many moves stick into this corner. It's too high on the average speed, but you can see the much tighter line from Palomeiras and Abea there. Meanwhile, both the Schimps taking a much wider line on the exit. They're opening out the corner a little bit more. I think it's more so because they're actually struggling with the front right rather than it being an intended consequence of that corner. A lot of curb used on the inside of turn 11 up through 12, and you can see how much that wing mirror is wobbling around for the number 93 of Abea, who's at the moment in 3rd spot. The Team VRT squad look on because they know that they've got the 2 Schimps directly behind, 162 of Alejandro and then Adrian directly behind in this battle from the back of the grid, looking for podiums. They are desperate for podiums right now, and they are in position to potentially get some. I believe it will be their first podiums of the season for both of them as well in the Clio Cup Spain. 3 minutes and 50 seconds plus 1 lap to go. They're running roughly in the 55s, which tells me that we are going for potentially 3 more laps. It's actually quite tight at the line, but again, never trust the commentator's math, so each to their own. But it should be 3 laps left to go. All over the rear end. Bayer not able to pass, going down into Doohan. Is there a move somewhere like up into Angelinato, turn 6? That's the idea, that's where the move will come. So not this corner, not the next corner, but the one after. That's where there might be the potential. You can see on the last lap running 54.2s. That's actually very good lap times. They're faster than even Louth, who's in 6th. And they're faster even than your race leader, who did a 54.6 on the previous lap, in Alex Royo. So they are actually closing in. You can kind of tell that by the gap. 2.7 seconds between Alex Royo and Palomeras. There is the look. Not quite though from Abea. Certainly was eyeing up the situation coming down into turn 8. No way to make that one stick though, but you can feel as the race goes on, as the corners tick on, the aggression ticks on, the need, the hunger, the desperation ticks on. Abea's not been afraid of a cheeky dive at some point throughout this race. Of course, certainly did that with Louth earlier on. Look at how much racing room as well that he's using is Abea. Coming up through 12, way too wide there though from Palomeras. This might be a move. Could he get to the inside? Abea's there. Oh, Abea's right there. He's on the grass as well as they head down towards the final corner. Palomeras is able to hang on, pulls it up to the apex. He's gone in a little bit too deep, but that was 2 wheels on the grass for Abea, trying to grab second position, and this could open the door for Alejandro Schimpf as well in that 162. Would he dare take it 3 wide on the start-finish straight? It's Clio Cup. Of course he would. 900 metres down towards turn 1. A couple more laps left to go in this race, and this is Alejandro Schimpf straight down the inside. He's trying to make it stick. Abea's gone wide. Abea's gone straight over the runoff, and that is Palomeras dropped down from 2nd to 4th, potentially even 5th. Alejandro Schimpf though straight down the inside. Abea's gone way too wide, again attracting the attention of race control, but that is superb from Alejandro Schimpf. And whilst that's all happening, one Schimpf moves forward, so does the other, Adrian Schimpf as well, now up into 4th position. Wow, in 4 corners, Palomeras has gone from 2nd to 5th. Classic Clio Cup racing, if I do say so. Exactly what we expect. The question of should we take this 3 wide, of course, was answered with, well, yeah, of course. Why wouldn't we? Super racing from this lot, and of course, you know that Abea is not done with that. Moved down now into 3rd. Obviously, went up and then down. So, well, went up, down, down, and back up again. So, you know, is how it goes. Track limits penalty to this car then. That is Adrian Schimpf, the 113 picking up track is good. I kind of feel that Abea might also get the same penalty after running, because Ori was also involved in the cars that was being warned, if memory serves, and then ran wide as well at turn 1. I know obviously he was racing, so fair enough. Ran wide at turn 1 at Aspar, and then also at Doohan as well. So as we come round, we've got 20 seconds left to go. Does Alex Royo cross the line on time to make it 1 more lap, or is it 2? I think based on where we are, I think we're going actually for 2 more laps. And we'll correct, that's why you never trust the commentator's maths. So we are going up onto the 14th lap of proceedings, and so we'll be starting the 15th. Soon, and it'll be a 15-lap race. Again, never trust the commentators. I did say it was 16 earlier on, which obviously is not possible, but each to their own. But Royo, though, will get the white flag once, or but it wouldn't be the white flag. You know what I mean? It's the final lap this time by. So we're on the penultimate lap right now. Warning track limits to 93, so we hadn't been warned yet. Literally, as that warning comes out, bam, straight over the exit of Doohan. Love it. Of course, probably would have only just received that warning as he crossed the start-finish line. Might not have even realised it just yet. And I don't believe he's realised it just yet, because look at how much track was being used on the exit of the Nico Terrell corner at turn 4. Look at the defence, though. He's got to defend a little bit from the 113. That is Adrian Schimpf straight down the inside. Is there going to be a bit of contact? No, there isn't, but there was some brilliant racing, a lot of room given from Abea. Now, Adrian Schimpf needs to get on with this because he's got a 5-second penalty, which is going to drop him back into Palomares. Louth as well, 6th position, is closing right in on this as they've been battling so hard the last couple of laps. Abea drifts off of the apex ever so slightly, pulls it back onto the racetrack. This time round, he'll get that warning. I don't believe he would have got it. I think it came out a little bit late for him to have seen it across the start-finish line. If he did, he doesn't care about it one bit, because has been continuing to just roll over the track limits. And you can see that on the run into 12 as well. I think Abea uses more track limits than everyone else. Look at how much he pulls it all the way over onto the red and white curb, and then back up and over the crest, going through turn 13, down the hill, the 500-metre run, half a kilometre all the way up to the final corner of the track. A bit of a lock up there. Adrian Schimpf is going straight on. He is going straight on. He is out of here and nearly back into the clutches of Palomares. Nothing yet. Don't panic too much. But Adrian Schimpf was right there, was ready to attack. But unfortunately, as you're kind of turning in through the penultimate corner there, you can pull it out a little bit too wide onto the curb, and it just drags you off of the racetrack, and that's exactly what happened to Adrian Schimpf. And so I don't think. I think it was a long shot anyway for Adrian Schimpf to be getting a podium in this race, courtesy of the 5-second time penalty after accruing too many track limits violations. But still, I think with that lock-up there, that is completely done. We are on the final lap of the race here in Valencia. Alex Royo is looking for a 3rd victory of the season, but it would be first outright, courtesy of just being Clio Cup Spain here this weekend. Then it's Alejandro Schimpf, then Nico Abea, who I still think is under a little bit of investigation. Of course, had that contact with Louth a bit earlier on. Race Control will be taking a bit of a look over it. I mean, I was entertained, so each to their own on that one. That wing mirror, I don't know how it's still attached, by the way, but it's still flopping all over the place. They'll obviously have it repaired before tomorrow. They're well accustomed to repairing wing mirrors in the Clio Cup Series, or in any form of racing, to be honest. I'm someone who watches V8 Supercars an awful lot, so I'm used to just wing mirrors being pinged off left, right and centre. This driver, outside of the first lap, has not seen anyone, to be honest. Had a little bit of side-by, so actually no, didn't even then. Had a great launch from the starting grid. Cleared the 215-metre run down towards turn 1 beautifully, and then had a little bit of pressure from behind. Palomares was trying to attack. Then, by the time that Schimpf had got up there, that Abea had got up there, way too far behind. There's a bit of a threat in the middle of the race as the pace had potentially dropped off, but as we depart the final corner, Alex Royo is going to win here at Circuit Ricardo Tormo in the first race of the weekend. An absolutely dominant display over the 15-lap run. Alejandro Schimpf and Abea will come across the line behind, but as time penalties are applied, it puts Palomares back up into 2nd place, Louth down into 3rd, then Alejandro Schimpf, then Nico Abea, then Fabian Giulia, and then Adrian Schimpf, who obviously has that 5-second time penalty. That's because they all received more time penalties. A few picked up 10-second time penalties. In fact, the 113 of Adrian Schimpf received the 5-second time penalty, then received a 10-second time penalty, and I believe received another 5-second time penalty for track limits violations, which I believe might well add that all the way up to, I think it's more 15 rather than it being the full 20. I think I might have misread it. I think it is just the 2 penalties, 10 and 15. But either way, Alex Royo completely dominant, despite it being such a close run in the qualifying session. Just 0.005 of a second separating the front row of the grid. Alex Royo with Alex Louth on that front row of the grid. The race, very different story. Confirmation there of further time penalties to the 93 of Abea, and then the 162. Of course, that one is Alejandro Schimpf. I'm not surprised by the Abea one, because we didn't get that the warning for track limits. And then, as we were watching this battle, you kind of see escaping the circuit at Dewan, escaping the circuit at a couple of other places on the track, and including even the run up towards on the exit of turn 11 into 12. There was a lot of track limit violations happening there. It's kind of what we expect in this style of racing, but either way, Race Control absolutely on it with that stuff, and I kind of feel that we're in for a very different race tomorrow, when obviously they'll get to have a second stab at taking a victory around this legendary circuit. I mean, it's only been a circuit for 20 years, but boy, has it got some history. Tomorrow's race will be at 13:50 local time here in Europe, so CEST 13:50, about 10 to 2 in the afternoon, which, if you're bored with certain racing in the French countryside, or I don't think Formula 1 would have been on at that point, why not join us? Because it's going to be such a good little run. Yes, there's only 12 cars. We've always said this with any form of racing. I mean, I come from the world of esports and stuff, and open wheel racing in the UK. You don't need hundreds of cars to make a great race. You just need 2, and in this case, we just need 12. Alex Royo pulls up into the #1 spot for the 3rd time this season. Again, took both of those victories back in Jarama, the last time that Clio Cup Spain raced in Spain, and obviously that sounds a bit odd. We did race in Manicourt last round a bit earlier on the 13th and 15th of May, but Palomares in 2nd position, taking a well-deserved 2nd position. Already communications being had between a couple of our drivers. I think that might well have been between Abea, certainly was, having a little bit of a conversation with Lauf. Jordi Palomares, he is not happy. Of course, he's been removed from the podium. Palomares will be in 2nd place. And it is interesting to note that Abea has pulled into the podium spot in 3rd. Meanwhile, it is supposed to be Lauf, and that's kind of where the discussion and conversation came from the drivers. There's your winner, Alex Royo. Gave me a little kiss as well. Nice, what a lad. Great victory. 4.7 seconds in the end of the race. Just completely dominant, and a very well-deserved victory if ever I've seen one. Did seem to struggle a little bit with the pace late on in the running of that one. Just seemed to not quite have the measure of it, but then maybe it was actually completely having the measure of it. Why go faster than you need to go? It's kind of the sentiment that Alain Prost had back in the 80s and 90s, was win by the smallest margin. And I wouldn't say it was the smallest margin, but the point being that it's about understanding the level of risk required to take, and knowing that if you don't need to take that risk, don't take it. Why would you? And so that's exactly the sentiment that Alex Royo has taken. Of course, they'll have to qualify once again tomorrow, but we can see the order on our screen at the moment. Alex Royo taking that victory. Jordi Palomares in 2nd position with Alex Lauf in 3rd. Then Alejandro Schimpf after starting from the rear of the grid. Nico Abea, Fabian Julia, Adrian Schimpf after the large penalties, 15 seconds added to him. Then Hugo Hernandez in 8th place. Emre Can now in 9th. Then Lydia Semper, Sequindeth, and then Rodrigo in the final spot. All of the cars finish, but that will be me done for now. We'll pass over to the interviews.
Con el ganador de esta primera carrera del fin de semana de la Clio Cup me encuentro. Alex, enhorabuena, menuda carrera, desde luego has hecho una buena salida, has tirado y todo lo demás ya, lo que ha pasado por detrás, no sé si lo has visto, pero ha sido intenso.
Bueno, un mero espectador, sí, mi objetivo era cerrar en las primeras vueltas y a partir de ahí pues intentar coger unos metros para empezar a trazar. Sabía que tenía buen ritmo y bueno, ya he visto que se han liado un poco ahí atrás, así que me he dedicado a trazar tranquilamente y coger esos metros de ventaja que me han dado una carrera bastante cómoda y bastante fácil, la verdad.
Desde luego que entre la primera batalla y la última parte final de la carrera, que por atrás han estado peleando, allí te han regalado un tiempo que te ha venido de maravilla.
Sí, lo justo para mediada la carrera, saber que tenía otra media carrera fácil para poder rodar tranquilamente sin peleas y a partir de ahí pues dirigirme a la victoria, ¿no? Así que contento aquí en Valencia por ganar y seguir líder del campeonato, que sigue siendo el objetivo.
Vamos a ver qué pasa mañana. Mucha suerte, gracias.
Muchas gracias.
Well, great to hear from Alex Royo after another victory, another podium, and another one to add to his repertoire here in Clio Cup Spain. A brilliant, again, said it before, a brilliant victory, and he'll go onto the podium once again. Wasn't actually on the podium in the last round out. at Manicourt. But you know, with 2 victories, another pole to add to the list as well. 3 poles coming into this weekend. It makes it 4 now in the 5 races. Is really in control, Alex Roy, who's our championship leader for Team VRT. Interesting to note, of course, with Jordi Palomares going onto the podium. He is the driver with the most podiums in the season. Looking at some of the highlights from the race, and there are quite a few. There was that contact running down from the number 47 of Lauf Beyer as well. Those two had a bit of a conversation post-race. They pushed each other wide a couple of times. Palomares was loving that, seeing all of that, to be perfectly honest, because he was diving us down the inside of all of it. Then this mistake, Lauf straight down the inside. Beyer was there. The contact spun Lauf out. Bit of 3 wide as well, as Alejandro Schimpf would take it, coming down into the first corner. It would grab him a podium position. He'd have removed courtesy of track limit excursions. Same with Adrian Schimpf as well. The 93 also would get a warning and then would instantly run over the racetrack. So for Beyer, the penalty would drop him off of the podium, giving it to Royo, Palomares and Lauf as well. Obviously, the 3 of those are separated by 5 seconds across the line, but the gaps are a little bit skewed, mostly courtesy of the penalties being dished out and sort of moving everyone around left, right and centre, to be perfectly honest. Alex Royo, the only real one who's kept himself well out of trouble there, and rightfully so, adding an extra 50 points to his total, giving him a fairly comfortable championship lead at the moment. Palomares will move himself up into a confirmed second in the championship. Had 150 points coming into this, which was actually joint on points with Alex Lauf. However, with the penalties dished out and the positions given, it will give Palomares a confirmed second position in the championship, but will give him a large 18-point gap to climb to go and catch Alex Royo, who is your championship leader and race winner once again in Clio Cup Spain. He'll go onto the top step of the podium, and his team, who have worked so hard, they've got 5 cars out here, and it is a Team VRT 1-2, obviously to add that one, then Katato Motorsports and then Chefo Sport with Nico Beyer. The other 3 Team VRT cars, 9th, 10th and 11th, not quite the race, unfortunately for them, but again, tomorrow is a very different day, so I'm sure they'll all come back with stronger heads tomorrow. And I don't think Alex Royo will be given such an easy victory. Easy, such a rough word to use in racing like this, because it's never easy. But when you pull away like that, well, I mean, he made it look easy. That's the important bit. And by taking a victory 5 seconds over your teammates, well, I mean, does it get much easier than that? There is the 93 of Beyer, who obviously pulled into the podium spot. I don't know whether there'll be any repercussions for doing that. And then obviously the conversation between himself and Lauf. By the way, don't get too concerned about the Saxos driving in the pit lanes, because obviously it's a race weekend, busy stuff all weekend, and they are racing as well, so each to their own on that one. They've got their own races. There's a lot of racing going on this weekend, with Spanish Formula 4, etc., and then the Saxos and such. But for us in Clio Cup, that is the only race that we've got today. We come back tomorrow morning. We don't broadcast qualifying, but qualifying is at 10:30 in the morning. If you do fancy getting yourself at the livetiming.alcamelsystems.com/racing weekend, and you'll see all of the live timing data from the race, and you can actually follow the qualifying before we've even gone live, because we don't go live for the qualifying session. And then on Sunday afternoon at 10 to 2 local time, CEST 13:50, we'll be back for another race. That one again being 25 minutes plus the single lap, and Alex Royo will aim to grab himself potentially another victory and make it 4 for the season. We're just waiting for them to come out onto the podium, where we can see them all celebrate in front of their teams, and of course it's one of those bits that you don't get to experience too often in the world of motorsport. I mean, it seems as though in racing, even in Formula One with the Michael Schumacher era, or currently with Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen, and then in MotoGP with Valentino Rossi and Marc Marquez and people like this. It seems like winning can become a boring thing, but I've spoken to enough drivers about this that is a falsity. Winning never gets boring, it never gets old, and it is always something which you cherish every single time it happens. And for these drivers, it's exactly the case. Up into third, onto the podium, of course, will be Lauth. Then on the left-hand side of the shot, that'll be Jordi Palomares-Ventos, and then onto the top of the podium, and a very well-deserved victory from Alex Royo. Receive those trophies, of course, and they'll be added to the big trophy cabinet. There is the podium, or the trophy rather, for Lauth, who I think might not be particularly happy, although I don't think he understands how he got a podium after being spun out. I wouldn't, but each to their own. Obviously, track limit excursions. There is Jordi Palomares-Ventos getting his second place trophy, and it's his 5th consecutive podium, as far as my stats show, of the season, the most consistent driver of the championship so far. And then Alex Royo receiving yet another winner's trophy. That will make it 3 for the season, and his first the first race here at Valencia this weekend. Great drive. Almost hope that he doesn't do it quite as dominantly tomorrow, because not that it was boring, we had plenty of great racing, but I'm sure we want to see him getting involved in some of the fantastic racing that we've had here. And I'm a bit disappointed, in a sense, for Alejandro Schimpf to not get on the podium, purely based on the fact of the idea of making it 3 wide down into the first corner. The cool kids would call absolutely based. That is a great move, so bold to give that one a go. I'm baffled. Even the fortitude to give that one an effort. Obviously, all of them will take to the top step, so they can all have their photographs and such taken. It's always kind of one of those things. These are treasured memories. Of course, racing at historic circuits. Obviously we've been to Manicourt and stuff, but Valencia is a great circuit to win at. And we'll take a look at highlights of the race as well, because it was an exciting one. It was a bad start from the front row of the grid from Lauth, who dropped back all the way to 4th. It would promote, of course, Palomares up onto the podium, up and over the gravel trap for about 6th and 7th position. The trains would split apart. There is Palomares, who's up in 2nd position. Contact between Lauth down the inside of a Bayer at the final corner. Just a little bit of contact between. It wouldn't be the last time we'd speak of that throughout the day. Good move from Hugo Hernandez. Good moves as well up and down the order. Lauth got himself up in the 2nd. It did not last long. It got pushed off down at turn 1, then got pushed off later on in the circuit as well. It promoted Palomares back up into 2nd position. Lauth would then dive it down the inside. It would get spun out by a Bayer, who would try and muscle his way past. But then Alejandro Schimpf would come through, taking advantage of the opportunity, making it 3 wide down into turn 1 and grabbing himself up onto the podium, which wouldn't last because post-race penalties would separate everything on this. Then the other Schimpf would try and get himself past a Bayer, but unfortunately he wasn't able to do so, trying to make it 2 Schimpfs onto the podium. But Alex Royo was up into the race lead and took the victory. Tomorrow night we'll be racing at 13:50. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you a little bit later on. That's us done for Valencia today.